This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Sean will be back tomorrow. I'm filling in today. Wow, big news here. Tesla's getting ready to sell the Cybertruck in China. Car News China reports that the truck just got an official energy consumption label from the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology. That's one of the first steps in getting it homologated so it can go on sale there. But Tesla is also working on modifications to meet Chinese regulations, especially for pedestrian protection. Pickups in China are not considered passenger vehicles. They're classified as commercial vehicles, which has limited their appeal. But the Cybertruck could change that, at least amongst wealthy buyers who want a vehicle that really stands out. And that could be a windfall for Tesla. Its stock was up nearly 3% in early morning trading. Now, none of this means the Cybertruck will actually go on sale there, but Tesla would not go through all these legal hoops unless it was serious about selling them in China. In a big blow to the autonomous vehicle sector, General Motors pulled the plug on Cruise yesterday. It will no longer fund the AV startup and will fold the company into its existing engineering operations to concentrate on its hands-free Super Cruise technology. GM had poured $9 billion into Cruise and predicted that it would generate $50 billion a year in revenue by the end of the decade. But as it faced having to invest billions more before Cruise turned a profit, GM pulled the plug. Automakers and suppliers are being extremely cautious with capital spending right now, as the industry is in the midst of a historic disruption in technology, trade, sales, and pricing. Honda, which was an investor in Cruise and was going to launch robo-taxi services in Japan using Cruise origin vehicles, is selling its piece of the company back to GM. This is a dramatic turning point in AV development. The car companies have lost, and the tech companies have won. Volkswagen and Ford threw in the towel on AVs about 3 years ago, and the biggest survivors in this space are Waymo and Zoox, which are part of Alphabet and Amazon, respectively. Wow, something was going on yesterday. It was a game of musical chairs as 4 automakers announced major management changes. Nissan, which is watching its sales revenue and profits plummet, moved its CFO, Stephen Ma, over to its China operations and promoted the head of its North American operations, Jeremy Papin, into the CFO position. And Christian Munier, who was running Infiniti, was promoted to take Papin's place. And those are just the first steps. Nissan promises to announce more management changes in April. Mercedes-Benz also shoveled its board of management. 3 board members are leaving as their terms expire, and 4 new people will be added. That includes the CFO of Continental, Olaf Schick, who will join next October. That's a highly unusual move for a car company to put a supplier exec on its board. But Schick worked for Mercedes earlier in his career, and presumably he'll step down from Conti before returning to Mercedes. BMW announced its CFO, Nicholas Peter, will become the chairman of the Supervisory Board next year, and Hyundai named Randy Parker as the CEO of its North American operations. He'll be in charge of everything for Hyundai and Genesis in the US, Canada, and Mexico, including sales, marketing, and manufacturing. Up to now, Jose Munoz was in charge of all that, but he was just promoted to CEO of the global Hyundai Motor Group, so Parker was named to run North America. Yesterday, we reported that Tim Kuniskis would return to Stellantis, but guess what? He was already there by the time the news broke. At a media event for the new Ram heavy-duty trucks yesterday, Kuniskis made an unannounced appearance and declared he was ready to get back in the fight. Those are his words. He said the first 2 weeks after he abruptly left the company in May were great, but then he quickly got bored. He said some people told him to get a hobby, but he really wanted to get back into the industry. And he kept in touch with people at the company to keep track of what was going on. And he told the small media gathering he came back because, and I quote here, "We're getting our ass kicked." He didn't say anything about Carlos Tavares, and the Stella Comms people made sure he was not available for questions, but it's pretty clear that with Tavares gone, Kuniskis was ready to return.
Knowing that a little rain won't slow down your day, that's what really matters. Bridgestone Turanza Quiet Track tires, confident control in wet conditions.
Okay, over to Japan now, where Japanese auto unions want raises for their people, and they've got specific targets of what they want to get. And they especially want to boost wages for workers at smaller companies like Suppliers. The Confederation of Japan Automobile Workers, which has 12 unions in its group and 784,000 workers in total, wants pay raises of about $80 a month or more during contract negotiations with automakers next spring. That's about a 5% increase in base pay for companies that have less than 300 employees. Japanese lawmakers are on board with this because those wage increases, especially at smaller companies, would help boost the economy. One reason why car sales set a record in China last month is that the government has a Cash-For-Clunkers program. China is giving out as much as $2,700 in subsidies for car buyers trading in an old vehicle, but that program ends at the end of the month. The China Association of Automobile Manufacturers is begging the government to keep it going because thanks in part to the subsidy, China sold a record 3.3 million vehicles in November, a nearly 12% increase, and new energy vehicles accounted for 47% or 1.5 million of those sales. A key reason why automakers want the subsidy extended is the precipitous drop in EV exports, which fell 29% last month, mostly because of Europe's new tariffs on Chinese-made EVs. But other countries like Brazil and Mexico are also talking about raising tariffs on Chinese cars, and that could be a real problem for Chinese automakers. The export market is something of a safety valve that's absorbing some of the excess manufacturing capacity in the country. And as exports fall, they need to sell more cars in China, because if they can't do that, it's going to financially cripple the weak ones for once and for all. You know, sometimes automakers like to try and extend the appeal of their brand by getting into areas that have nothing to do with cars. And now Lamborghini is playing that game. It partnered with snowboard maker Capita Snowboards and the Union Binding Company, which makes bindings for snowboards, to create a snowboard and bindings of its design. The lightweight board features design lines inspired by Lamborghini's vehicles, and it will be produced with 100% clean energy at Capita's factory in Austria. And of course, it's going to have the Lambo name on it and the logo, and that means it's going to have a Lamborghini price. The board costs $1,500, the bindings cost an extra $500, and only 200 of them are going to be made, so you better get in line right now. Anyway, that brings us to the end of today's report. Thank you for watching Autoline Daily.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering boost your game. And by Teijin Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility.
There's nothing wrong with heavy metal.
Hey, lighten up.
But with world-class composite material, Teijin Automotive Technologies makes vehicles lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly.
Developing today's vehicles, issues can happen in an instant. What good is knowing your problems without the data to solve them? Meet Wireless Neovi Cloud, your secure off-the-shelf solution, empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With Wireless Neovi Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. Driver communication data and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA. allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless Nearby Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.